For 3,000 cycles, the Galactic Assembly taught the same lesson to every young civilization. The void was mapped, catalogued, and understood. Every species had been found. Every danger had a classification. Every anomaly had an explanation. The age of unknown things was over. That certainty was why archivist Laura nearly deleted the file. It was buried inside a corrupted navigation buoy recovered near the edge of charted space, a relic older than the assembly itself. The buoy contained only fragments, distorted coordinates, radiation scars, and a repeating translation phrase. "They are still watching." The signature attached to the transmission did not match any registered species. At first, the scholars assumed pirates had altered it. Then they noticed the timestamp. It predated faster-than-light travel for every known civilization. The assembly labeled it a myth record, the lowest archival priority, the same category reserved for superstition and early-era folklore. But Laura hesitated. The buoy's metal composition could not be manufactured with modern methods, yet it showed signs of maintenance across millennia. Someone had been repairing it. Quietly. Repeatedly. She began searching older ruins and deep survey logs. The same phrase appeared again, scattered across the galaxy like breadcrumbs left by a careful hand. Always near disaster zones. Always after extinction-level events that somehow became survivable. A sun stabilized that should have collapsed. A plague stopped mid-mutation. A drifting colony ship nudged onto a safe vector. Every incident shared one note added by early explorers long before the assembly existed. We were not alone out there. When Laura presented her findings, the council laughed gently, the way elders dismiss a child's imagination. Advanced societies did not hide in shadows for tens of thousands of years. Powerful species announced themselves. They ruled, traded, or conquered. They did not watch. The official decision was clear. Coincidence layered into legend. But before the case closed, a long-range probe on the frontier transmitted a final image before its system shut down. In the darkness behind a gas giant drifted a silhouette larger than a moon. No weapons fired. No engines burned. It simply adjusted its position and intercepted a comet that would have sterilized a nearby inhabited world. Then it vanished. The probe's final data packet carried a translated message embedded in its core memory. Observation continues. For the first time in recorded history, certainty faltered. The galaxy had dismissed the Watchers as myths. Now something had just saved a world without asking permission. And no one knew why. The assembly issued no announcement. Public stability required silence, and silence required explanation. Scientists call the incident a gravitational anomaly. Military analysts claimed sensor malfunction. The official record used the safest word in history, coincidence. But the frontier did not believe in coincidence. Within months, reports multiplied. A merchant convoy traveling between minor trade routes lost navigation after a stellar storm erased their charts. Before panic escalated into mutiny, a new star map appeared inside every ship's guidance system, calculated to impossible precision. It led them safely home. The data carried no origin point, only a small tag in ancient translation code. Course correction provided. A mining colony experienced reactor cascade failure that should have vaporized the entire moon. Moments before overload, their systems shut down in perfect sequence, as if guided by invisible hands. The logs recorded external access that bypassed security without breaking it. Containment achieved. Pirates attempting to raid a medical evacuation fleet found every weapon disabled simultaneously. No attack. No retaliation. Their vessels simply powered down and drifted until patrol ships arrived. The pirates reported hearing a broadcast on all channels. Conflict unnecessary. Now the assembly faced a problem. A myth was behaving like a guardian. Debate fractured the council. Some argued an unknown empire was manipulating events to gain trust before invasion. Others believed an automated defense network from a long-dead civilization had awakened. Laura disagreed with both. Patterns revealed intention, not programming. The interventions avoided recognition. They prevented harm but never claimed authority. Whoever acted did not want gratitude, territory, or fear. They wanted stability. Her theory reached the military when deep-range sensors finally detected them clearly. Not one vessel. Thousands. They occupied dark interstellar corridors where no trade lanes existed, positioned between hazardous regions and populated systems. They were not stationed around resources or borders, but around potential catastrophes, like shields placed in advance. Still, the assembly hesitated. Announcing unseen protectors would shatter centuries of political order. Power depended on being the strongest known force in existence. Then a child from a remote agricultural world sent a message that changed everything. She had aimed her telescope at empty space while recording a school project. The recording captured a vast structure eclipsing stars for less than a second. The object rotated slowly, revealing worn markings etched across its hull. The translation software struggled, then resolved the ancient language into modern text. Human Expeditionary Vigil, Cycle 49,881. The myths now had a name. And the galaxy realized it had not been alone, it had been supervised. Panic spread faster than official statements could suppress it. The word human existed only in pre-assembly anthropology, an extinct species from an isolated death world whose early transmissions stopped before interstellar contact. They were categorized as a developmental failure. Now their fleets surrounded the galaxy. The assembly prepared defenses, though no attack had occurred. History taught a simple rule. Overwhelming power always demanded submission eventually. Then a signal arrived. Not broadcast. Not forced. It requested permission to speak. Every translation system activated simultaneously across thousands of worlds, not overridden but politely accessed. The message contained coordinates for a neutral meeting point and a single line. We believe you are ready. Against fear and pride, the Council accepted. The chosen location was empty interstellar space. No strategic value. No advantage. When the delegates arrived, they found only one vessel waiting. It was massive but scarred, its surface worn by age rather than battle. Portions had clearly been repaired countless times using different technological eras layered together. It looked less like a warship and more like something maintained across generations. A single figure appeared in the chamber when the airlock opened. Human. Not armored. Not guarded. She carried a small data core and placed it on the table before anyone spoke. Inside were records, tens of thousands of years of interventions, disasters prevented, civilizations preserved, and self-imposed restrictions forbidding direct contact. Finally, she explained, humanity had nearly destroyed itself before achieving interstellar travel. Survival came only through cooperation, empathy, and the painful realization that intelligence, without compassion, ensured extinction. When they discovered the wider galaxy repeating their early mistakes, wars, exploitation, indifference, they chose exile over dominance. They would not rule. They would watch. The fleets were not an armada. They were a promise. Every generation volunteered to continue the vigil, protecting younger civilizations until they could survive without guidance. Not as masters. As guardians who would never again allow preventable extinction. Silence filled the chamber. The most feared species in the galaxy had never wanted recognition. They wanted maturity. The human ambassador finished with one sentence. We waited until you could meet us without needing us. For the first time, the assembly understood the myths were not stories of power. They were stories of restraint. Relief did not last long. Once the assembly accepted the truth, a question followed naturally. Why reveal themselves now? The ambassador answered by projecting a map beyond the galactic rim. A region of dark, irregular motion distorted light itself. Stars within it dimmed unnaturally, not exploding or collapsing but vanishing in patterns that resembled consumption rather than destruction. Humanity called it the quiet hunger. It did not invade quickly. It erased gradually, leaving systems intact but lifeless. No radiation. No debris. No survivors. Civilizations simply ended without evidence they had ever existed. The Vigil had delayed its approach for millennia by diverting comets, altering gravity wells, and triggering false stellar activity to mislead its advance. But the entity learned. Slowly, relentlessly, it adapted. Humanity could hide worlds. They could not hide a galaxy forever. The Assembly realized why the Watchers intervened only in catastrophes that preserved growth. Species that matured learned cooperation faster. Cooperation created resilience. Resilience created survival probability. They had been preparing allies, not subjects. For the first time, the galaxy's greatest powers understood the scale of patience required to guard strangers for 50,000 years while knowing the true danger still approached. The ambassador offered no demands, no leadership claim, no command structure. Only partnership. Every civilization would keep autonomy. Humanity would share knowledge accumulated across the vigil. Defense would belong to all, not imposed by one. Because the coming threat could not be defeated by strength alone. It required unity. The Assembly voted unanimously within minutes, a speed unheard of in its history. Pride felt meaningless compared to extinction. As fleets mobilized together for the first time, a final transmission spread across inhabited space. "You once believed we were myths," the human message said gently. "We hoped you would never need to know we were real." Across countless systems, people watched the ancient guardians move openly at last, no longer shadows between stars, but allies beside them. The galaxy had feared an invasion. Instead, it inherited responsibility. And beyond the rim, the darkness noticed the lights gathering together. For the first time, it changed course. Toward them.